The massive alien ship appeared without warning on a quiet Tuesday morning. 1 second, Earth's orbit was empty. The next, a vessel nearly 5 miles long hung silently above the North Atlantic Ocean. It resembled a long, smooth crystal with edges that seemed to fade in and out of reality. News of the arrival spread faster than any virus. Cell phones around the world buzzed with emergency alerts. Television broadcasts were interrupted. Social media exploded with blurry photos and videos of the sky. Some people ran to churches and temples. Others packed their cars and fled cities. Many simply stood outside, looking up in wonder and fear. Military forces worldwide went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled but kept a safe distance from the alien craft. Nuclear missiles were readied in their silos, a last resort that no one wanted to use. The United Nations called an emergency meeting, but no one knew what to do. Humanity had prepared for many disasters, but not for this. For 3 long days, the world waited. The alien ship remained perfectly still, making no attempt to communicate. It ignored all radio signals, light patterns, and mathematical sequences sent its way. Some began to wonder if the vessel was empty, a ghost ship drifting through space. Dr. Allison Grant hadn't slept for more than 2 hours at a time since the arrival. As head of NASA's Interspecies Communication Division, a department created more out of hope than expectation, this was the moment she had trained for her entire career. Her office at the Johnson Space Center had become a nest of coffee cups, energy bar wrappers, and printouts of signal analyses. "You need to rest, Allie," said Dr. Frank Winters, her deputy and old friend from graduate school. His own eyes were red-rimmed behind his glasses. "How can I sleep?" she asked, studying another failed communication attempt on her screen. "They're up there, Frank. Actually up there. And they're not talking to us." As if to prove her wrong, every electronic device in the room suddenly came to life. Screens flickered, showing the same strange, swirling patterns. A soft humming filled the air, rising and falling in a way that almost sounded like language. The same thing was happening at scientific institutions around the world. The Vordari Collective, as they called themselves, had finally decided to speak. Dr. Grant worked for 18 straight hours, feeding the alien signals through every analysis program she had. Parts were simple to decode, basic mathematical principles, and physical constants that created a foundation for understanding. Other sections were deeply complex, requiring new algorithms that Dr. Winters created on the spot. When she finally understood the message, Dr. Grant's hands trembled as she picked up the secure phone to call the president. 6 hours later, she stood before the United Nations Security Council. Diplomatic representatives from around the world watched her with anxious eyes. The large screens behind her showed images of the alien vessel. "The Vordari are not invaders," she explained, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "They're evaluators. They've been watching us for centuries, and now they believe we're ready for testing." She clicked to the next slide, showing the translated message. "They call it the Crucible. It's a series of challenges designed to measure if we're ready to join what they call the galactic community. Every emerging intelligent species must pass it." The room filled with murmurs. The French representative raised her hand. "And if we fail? Then Earth remains quarantined. No contact with other civilizations. No access to advanced technology or knowledge. How difficult is this test?" asked the representative from Brazil. Dr. Grant exchanged a look with Dr. Winters before answering. "According to the Vordari, most species take about 100 years to complete it." The room fell silent. "They've provided coordinates for a testing facility on Mars," she continued. "They want us to send our best minds there." The message included technical specifications for the facility and basic information about the tests. 100 years, repeated the Secretary General slowly. "Do we have a choice?" Dr. Grant shook her head. "I don't believe we do. The Vordari have been clear. We either take the test or remain isolated." As the Security Council began heated discussions about how to proceed, Dr. Grant stepped back and looked at the image of the alien ship on the screen. 100 years was a long time, but something in her gut told her that humans might surprise these ancient visitors. After all, humanity had always been good at beating impossible odds. The world's governments didn't waste time arguing. They knew Earth needed its best minds for this mission. Within days, a global selection committee was formed to find the perfect team for the Vorderei challenge. Commander John Rivera was the first person they called. At 42, he had already led 3 successful missions to Mars and was known for his calm thinking under pressure. He was working in his garden when the secure call came through. "We need you for one more mission, Commander," said the voice on the other end. "Possibly the most important one in human history." John looked at the tomato plant in his hands, then at the small house he had finally settled into after years in space. He knew his answer before they finished explaining. "When do I start?" he asked. The selection committee worked day and night, reviewing files on the world's top scientists, engineers, and thinkers. They needed people who were not just brilliant, but also adaptable and able to work together. People who could think in new ways. Major Samantha Wilson was finishing a training session at the European Space Agency when she received her invitation. At 36, she had revolutionized how computers processed quantum information and had military experience that made her perfect as second in command. 100-year test, she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "And they expect us to just show up and take it." She smiled. "Sounds fun." One by one, the team came together. Dr. Peter Morgan was pulled from his physics lab in Boston, where he had been working on theories about how space could fold in on itself. His colleagues call him the wizard because his ideas often seemed like magic until he proved them with math. "Pack enough clothes for 2 weeks, the committee told him. "I'll need my research files," he insisted, looking around at the stacks of papers in his office. "Everything will be provided," they assured him. Dr. Lisa Chen was harder to convince. Her work on connecting human brains to computers had just reached a breakthrough stage. "My research is too important to leave," she argued. "Dr. Chen," the representative said gently, "if we succeed in this mission, your research could advance by centuries overnight. If we fail, it might not matter at all." She joined the team the next morning. Engineer Kevin Jackson didn't need convincing. He had spent his career building faster, more efficient rocket engines, dreaming of the day humanity would reach beyond Mars. "You had me at alien spaceship," he told them with a grin. Dr. Eric Gonzalez brought his artificial intelligence expertise. His programs could learn and adapt faster than any before them. Quiet and thoughtful, he spoke little during the team's first meeting, but when he did, everyone listened. The final member was Dr. Olivia Martinez, a marine biologist who specialized in how ocean creatures work together as systems. Her understanding of how different species adapted to each other would prove more valuable than anyone expected. The team gathered at NASA's Johnson Space Center for their first briefing. They sat around a large table, strangers with nothing in common except their brilliant minds and the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders. Commander Rivera looked at each person before speaking. "I know you all have questions," he said. "I do too. What we're facing is unlike anything humans have encountered before. This test was designed for 100 years of effort. We have weeks to prepare, days to travel there. And then, who knows how long to solve it. So we're doomed," Dr. Morgan said flatly. Major Wilson shook her head. "No, we're just going to have to be smarter than they expect." "The Vorderei have been watching Earth for centuries," Commander Rivera continued. "They think they know what humans are capable of. I think they're in for a surprise." For the next 6 weeks, the team trained harder than any astronauts before them. They studied the limited information about the Vorderei. They learned to work together, combining their knowledge in new ways. They prepared for every scenario they could imagine. On a clear morning in June, they boarded the U.S. Horizon, Earth's newest and fastest spacecraft. As the engines fired and the ship rose into the sky, billions of humans watched on screens around the world. No one knew if they would succeed, But for the first time since the alien ship appeared, people felt something new. Hope. The 23-day journey to Mars passed quickly. The team trained in the ship's simulation room, studied Vordari language patterns, and prepared their minds for the unknown challenges ahead. As they approached the red planet, everyone gathered in the observation deck. "There it is," Commander Rivera said, pointing to a strange shape on the surface. Mars stretched below them, its dusty red landscape dotted with human research stations. But the Vordari testing facility was unlike anything humans had built. Through the viewport, they could see a perfect half-sphere rising from the Martian soil. It shimmered in the pale sunlight, its surface moving like water even though it was clearly solid. "It's beautiful," Dr. Martins whispered, pressing her hand against the glass. "And enormous," added Engineer Jackson. "That structure must be at least a mile across." Major Wilson checked the landing coordinates. "The Vordari have cleared a landing zone half a mile from the facility. I'm bringing us down." The U.S. horizon descended smoothly through the thin Martian atmosphere. Dust swirled around them as the ship's engines fired to slow their descent. With barely a bump, the spacecraft settled onto the red soil. The team suited up in their Mars gear. Though the planet had several human bases, the air was still too thin to breathe. They gathered near the airlock, checking each other's equipment one last time. "Remember," Commander Rivera said, "we represent all of humanity today. Whatever happens in there, we face it together." They stepped out onto the Martian surface in a tight group. The facility loomed ahead of them, larger and stranger up close. As they approached, something unexpected happened. A doorway appeared in the smooth surface of the dome, opening silently to reveal a lighted passage inside. "They're inviting us in," Dr. Chen said. "Or it's automated," Dr. Gonzalez suggested, triggered by our approach. Commander Rivera took a deep breath. Only one way to find out. They entered the facility in single file. The moment the last person crossed the threshold, the door closed behind them. The air shimmered around them, and suddenly breathing became easier. "We can remove our helmets," Dr. Morgan said, checking a small device in his hand. "The air is perfectly breathable. Actually, it's better than Earth air." Cautiously, they removed their helmets. The air tasted clean and slightly sweet. The passage led them to a large circular room with a high ceiling. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The floor beneath their feet was solid but had the same flowing, rippling quality they had observed from outside. "Welcome, humans," a voice said, echoing around them, and somehow inside their minds at the same time. A figure appeared in the center of the room. It was tall and slender with 4 long arms and skin that shifted colors like an octopus. Its head was elongated with large, almond-shaped eyes that contained swirling galaxies within them. "I am Guardian," the alien said, "overseer of this testing facility." Dr. Martinez gasped softly. They had seen images of the Vordari from the message, but seeing one in person was overwhelming. The being radiated ancient wisdom and power. "Thank you for your welcome," Commander Rivera said, stepping forward. "We air." "I know who you are, John Rivera of Earth," Guardian interrupted. Its voice was neither male nor female, but somehow both and neither. "I know all of you. The physicist, the neuroscientist, the engineer, the marine biologist, the AI specialist, the quantum expert." Guardian moved around the room without seeming to walk. "You stand at the threshold of joining the galactic community. The crucible has been calibrated to your species' current technological level." The alien gestured with its 4 arms, and the walls of the room changed to show images of stars, planets, and strange alien cities. "Complete the crucible, and your world will enter a new era of prosperity and knowledge. You will gain access to this." The images showed wonders beyond human imagination. Ships that sailed between stars, cities that floated in gas giants, beams of pure energy communing with creatures of flesh. Fail. Guardian continued, and Earth will remain quarantined until your civilization reaches sufficient maturity through its own development. How long do we have? Major Wilson asked. Time is part of the test, Guardian replied. Most species require generations of effort. 100 of your years would be considered swift progress. The team exchanged glances. 100 years. None of them would live to see Earth's success. We're ready to begin, Commander Rivera said firmly. Guardian's eyes swirled faster. Very well. The crucible consists of 7 chambers, each testing a different aspect of advancement. You may begin when ready. A new doorway appeared in the wall. For your species' sake, Guardian said as they moved toward it, I wish you wisdom and perseverance. The humans walked through the doorway together, stepping into the first chamber of the test that no species had ever completed in less than a century. The first chamber was a large room with walls that glowed with strange symbols. In the center stood a round table with 7 alien devices. They looked like smooth eggs made of a dark metal with tiny lights blinking across their surfaces. What are we supposed to do? Engineer Jackson asked, carefully picking up one of the devices. As if in answer, a section of the wall lit up brighter than the rest. Words in a mix of human and Vorderary language appeared. First, CHALLENG. Technological integration. Connect your minds to our systems. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her eyes wide with excitement. This is my field. They want us to create a way for humans to connect with their technology. Dr. Gonzalez examined the devices. These might be neural interfaces, but designed for Vorderary physiology. So we need to make them work for human brains, Major Wilson said, without frying our minds in the process. The team got to work immediately. Dr. Chen pulled equipment from her pack and began scanning the alien devices. Engineer Jackson took one apart carefully, revealing complex circuitry unlike anything on Earth. Look at this, he whispered. Their technology doesn't use electricity the way ours does. It's using some kind of neural energy. Dr. Chen nodded. That's why they want us to connect our minds. They're testing if we can adapt to their biological technology. For hours, they worked together. Dr. Chen used her knowledge of brain interfaces, while Engineer Jackson created an adapter from parts in their equipment. Dr. Gonzalez wrote a program to translate human brain signals into whatever energy the alien devices used. I think we've got it, Dr. Chen said finally, holding up what looked like a headband with wires connecting to one of the alien eggs. Who wants to try it first? I will, Commander Rivera said without hesitation. He put on the headband and closed his eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then he gasped. I can see everything, he whispered. Their system, their network. It's vast. One by one, the team connected to the alien system. Together, they navigated through streams of information, learning how to send commands using only their thoughts. After 6 hours of work, all 7 devices lit up with a bright green glow. Challenge complete, announced a voice from the walls. A door appeared, leading to the second chamber. This should have taken decades, Guardian's voice said, sounding surprised. Your species adapts quickly. The second chamber was empty except for a large floating cube covered in mathematical equations that shifted and changed constantly. Secund CHALLENG. Dimensional mathematices. Solve the UN solvable. Dr. Morgan studied the equations with growing excitement. These are 11-dimensional calculations. Most of these concepts don't even exist in human mathematics yet. Major Wilson joined him. But they follow patterns. Look, these sequences repeat with variations. The cube rotated, revealing more complex equations. Dr. Morgan began writing frantically on a tablet, while Major Wilson applied quantum computing principles to break down the patterns. Traditional approaches won't work, Dr. Morgan said. We need to think beyond our current math. Maybe we don't solve them directly, Major Wilson suggested. What if we create a new mathematical framework that makes these simple? They worked side by side, combining theoretical physics with practical computing. The others provided support, bringing food and water while offering fresh perspectives when the pair got stuck. 10 hours later, Dr. Morgan entered a final equation into his tablet. The cube glowed brightly, then transformed into a beautiful geometric shape with countless shifting faces. Challenge complete, the voice announced again. Guardian appeared before them, its color changing rapidly. Remarkable. You've accomplished in hours what the Centauri took 3 generations to solve. Without pausing to celebrate, the team entered the third chamber. This one contained a large circular tank filled with strange, glowing creatures that were clearly dying. The water was cloudy, and many of the life forms floated lifelessly. Third challenge, ecological balance, save what is dying. Dr. Martinez immediately went to work, taking samples and analyzing the water. These organisms are in collapse. The entire system is failing. Can you fix it? Commander Rivera asked. Dr. Martinez looked uncertain. On Earth, I'd need months to understand a new ecosystem. But she turned to Dr. Gonzalez. Could your AI help analyze the patterns of interaction between these species? He nodded. If we feed it enough data. They worked together, collecting information about each creature and how they interacted. Dr. Gonzalez's program predicted optimal conditions, while Dr. Martinez applied her knowledge of symbiotic relationships. Within 5 hours, they had introduced new elements to the water, adjusted the temperature, and even created synthetic versions of missing organisms. The water cleared, and the creatures began to thrive once more. Challenge complete. Guardian appeared again, now visibly confused. Your species' approach is unorthodox. You combine disciplines that most civilizations keep separate for millennia. Commander Rivera smiled. That's just how humans work. We're better together than apart. The team moved forward, tired but confident. 3 challenges down, 4 to go. The team entered the 4th chamber, tired but determined. This room was different from the others. Instead of technology or science challenges, they found a circular space with comfortable seats arranged in a circle. In the center was a glowing orb. 4th challenge, ETHICALREA zoning. Make the impossible choice. When they sat down, the orb expanded. Images filled the room, showing a series of increasingly difficult scenarios. Each one presented a moral dilemma with no clear right answer. The first scenario showed 2 planets in danger. The team could only save one. This is testing our values, Dr. Martins said quietly. How we make decisions when there are no good options. Most species approached this challenge as individuals, each making their own choice and defending it. The Vordari expected the same from humans. Instead, the team did something unexpected. Let's talk through this together, Commander Rivera suggested. Each of us brings different perspectives. They formed a discussion circle. Dr. Morgan analyzed logical outcomes. Dr. Martinez considered ecological impacts. Major Wilson evaluated strategic factors. Dr. Chen focused on cultural preservation. Each viewpoint added depth to their understanding. For every scenario, they reached consensus through respectful debate, finding creative solutions the test designers hadn't considered. What if we don't choose between the planets? Engineer Jackson proposed for the first problem. What if we evacuate both populations to a shared new home? This approach continued for each dilemma. Instead of accepting the limited options presented, they looked for third options, compromise solutions, and innovative approaches. After 4 hours of intense discussion, the orb turned green. Challenge complete. The door to the 5th chamber opened. Guardian was waiting for them, its color now a deep purple. Curious, it said. Most species fragment during ethical testing. Individuals choose based on their own values and fight with others. You, united. The fifth chamber contained a table with a small pile of seemingly random objects, pieces of metal, strange crystals, flexible tubes, and gel-like substances. HFY Stories. Build what you need. What at you have. They want us to create something, Engineer Jackson said, examining the materials. But what? The instructions don't specify, Dr. Gonzalez noted. I think that's part of the test. Most species would have debated what single device would best demonstrate their technological ability. The humans took a different approach. Let's divide the materials and see what each of us can create, Major Wilson suggested. They split into teams of 2. Each pair took some materials and worked on different creations. Commander Rivera and Dr. Chen built a communication device that could transmit thoughts. Dr. Morgan and Major Wilson created a small energy generator. Engineer Jackson and Dr. Gonzalez constructed a miniature repair robot. Dr. Martinez used the remaining pieces to make a water purification system. We don't need to make one perfect thing, Commander Rivera explained as they worked. We can create multiple tools that work together. 7 hours later, they had 4 working devices that could function independently or connect together into a more complex system. The wall glowed green. Challenge complete. Your species possesses remarkable creativity, Guardian said, appearing beside them. Most approach this challenge by building one device to impress us. You built 4 that work together. The 6th chamber was the strangest yet. As they entered, each team member felt a subtle shift in their emotions. Some felt sudden irritation. Others felt doubts about their teammates. Sick challenge. Social cohesion. Remain united under pressure. The room itself seemed designed to create friction. The temperature was slightly uncomfortable. Sounds came from odd angles, making communication difficult. The lighting changed unpredictably. I feel angry, Dr. Chen admitted, but I don't know why. The room is affecting our emotions, Commander Rivera realized. They're testing if we'll turn against each other. Major Wilson nodded. Then we need to acknowledge what we're feeling but not let it control us. The team formed a tight circle, sitting close together. They took turns expressing their emotions, acknowledging the artificial nature of their feelings, and reaffirming their commitment to the mission. Our differences make us stronger, Dr. Martins reminded everyone. That's how we've gotten this far. For 3 hours, they endured the psychological pressure, supporting each other through waves of artificial emotion. Instead of fracturing, their bond grew stronger. When the green light finally appeared, Guardian was openly astonished. Your species possesses a remarkable ability to acknowledge emotional influence without surrendering to it, the alien noted. Most beings cannot distinguish between feeling and reality so clearly. The team moved toward the 7th chamber door, exhausted but unified. One more challenge, Commander Rivera said. None of them knew it would be the most profound test of all. The 7th chamber was unlike any they had seen before. As the door closed behind them, the team found themselves in what appeared to be an empty space. The walls, floor, and ceiling were pure white, making it impossible to judge distance or size. In the center of this void stood a simple stone pedestal with nothing on it. "Where's the challenge?" Engineer Jackson asked, his voice echoing strangely. As if in response, a swirling mass of energy appeared above the pedestal. It resembled a miniature galaxy, spinning slowly with countless points of light dancing within it. Final challenge. Understanding. Demonstrate your comprehension of your place in the universe. The team exchanged confused glances. What does that even mean? Dr. Morgan asked, rubbing his tired eyes. Guardian appeared beside them, its form more transparent than before. The final test is one of perspective, it explained. You must demonstrate that you comprehend your place in the greater cosmic order. This typically requires philosophical evolution spanning generations. Major Wilson frowned. So there's no puzzle to solve, no technology to build. The greatest puzzle is existence itself, Guardian replied. Most species require centuries of contemplation to reach the necessary understanding. The team fell silent, staring at the swirling galaxy above the pedestal. They were exhausted from the previous challenges, and this one seemed impossibly vague. After several minutes of thought, Commander Rivera stepped forward. "May I?" he asked, gesturing toward the pedestal. Guardian nodded. Rivera approached the swirling energy and looked up into its depths. The lights seemed to respond to his presence, swirling faster and brighter. "I think I understand what you're testing," he said, addressing both Guardian and the energy form. "You want to know if we recognize that we're small parts of something greater, that despite our technological achievements, we understand our limitations. That knowledge without wisdom is dangerous." The energy swirled faster, some lights growing brighter while others dimmed. Rivera continued, choosing his words carefully. "But here's what I think you've missed about humans. We don't need centuries to understand our smallness. We've always known it." He gestured to his team. "Every one of us has stood under the night sky and felt tiny compared to the stars. We've faced natural disasters that reminded us how fragile we are. We've confronted our own mortality every day of our lives." Dr. Chen stepped forward to join him. "Our stories are filled with this understanding. From our earliest myths to our modern science, we've always placed ourselves as just one small part of a vast universe." Dr. Martinez added, "And yet, knowing how small we are has never stopped us from trying to understand everything around us. That's our strength." One by one, the rest of the team joined them at the pedestal. "Our knowledge is always incomplete," Dr. Morgan said. "Every discovery reveals new questions. We don't pretend to have all the answers." Major Wilson nodded, "But we keep searching anyway. That's what makes us human." Engineer Jackson smiled. "We build tools knowing they'll be outdated tomorrow. And we dream of things beyond our reach." Dr. Gonzalez finished. "Always reaching, always learning." Commander Rivera looked directly at Guardian. "Our strength isn't from thinking we're superior. It's from knowing we're not and persisting anyway. We understand our place in the universe is both incredibly small and infinitely valuable." The swirling energy suddenly expanded, surrounding each team member with light that seemed to peer into their very souls. It was both terrifying and beautiful. They could feel it examining their thoughts, their fears, their hopes, their understanding of existence. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the energy vanished. The room was silent. Then Guardian spoke, its voice filled with something that might have been awe. "Remarkable, truly remarkable. No species has ever completed the crucible so quickly, nor demonstrated such clear understanding while still at such an early developmental stage." The white room began to dissolve around them, walls fading to reveal a vast chamber with Guardian at its center. "The crucible is complete," Guardian announced. "In less than 36 hours, you have accomplished what was designed to take a century." The team looked at each other in disbelief and growing joy. "You mean we passed?" Dr. Chen asked. "More than passed," Guardian replied. "You have transformed the test itself." The journey back to Earth was nothing like the tense trip to Mars. The U.S. horizon carried not just 7 tired humans, but also the greatest treasure mankind had ever received: knowledge. "I still can't believe they gave us all this," Dr. Morgan said, scrolling through his tablet. The screen showed diagrams of technology centuries beyond Earth's current science. After completing the crucible, Guardian had provided them with what it called a welcome package. It contained technological blueprints, star charts mapping thousands of inhabited worlds, historical records of countless civilizations, and an invitation to send representatives to the Galactic Council. "They kept their word," Commander Rivera replied. "We earned our place." The ship's communication system beeped. Major Wilson activated the screen to show a live feed from Earth. Dr. Allison Grant's excited face appeared. The Vordari mothership is transmitting data to every major scientific institution, she said. They're sending teaching programs, medical knowledge, clean energy plans. It's overwhelming. The team shared knowing smiles. Their success had opened the door for all of humanity. As Earth grew from a small blue dot to a beautiful sphere outside their viewport, they prepared for landing. News feeds showed crowds gathering near the landing site in Florida. Millions more watched on screens around the world. "We're going to be famous, aren't we?" Dr. Chen asked quietly. "For a while." Commander Rivera nodded. "But soon enough, everyone will be too busy building the future to remember us." The U.S. horizon touched down on a clear spring morning. When the door opened, the team was greeted by thunderous applause. Scientists, government officials, and reporters crowded the landing area. At the front stood Dr. Grant, her face beaming with pride. "You did it," she said, hugging Commander Rivera as he stepped onto Earth soil. "You actually did it." "We had a good team," he replied simply. The next weeks passed in a blur of debriefings, interviews, and celebrations. Each team member explained their part of the story, helping Earth prepare for its new role in the galactic community. Dr. Grant took Commander Rivera aside during a quiet moment at the presidential reception. "The Vordari have made contact again," she told him. "They're sending a delegation to Earth. They want to understand how we did it." Rivera smiled. "Tell them it's because we're impatient. We've always wanted to touch the stars." 3 months later, the first Vordari delegation arrived on Earth. Their ship, smaller than the mothership but still impressive, landed at the newly constructed Interspecies Diplomatic Center in Geneva. Guardian itself led the delegation, its shifting colors drawing gasps from the human crowd. The team that had completed the crucible stood in the welcome line, now dressed in formal uniforms representing Earth rather than just their countries. "We come to honor Earth's achievement," Guardian announced to the assembled world leaders, "and to learn from you." That night, at a private dinner with the team, Guardian revealed something surprising. "The Vordari Collective has revised the crucible," it said. "Your approach showed us flaws in our testing methods. We've been evaluating species the same way for 50,000 years." Dr. Martinez leaned forward. "What will change?" "We now understand that cooperation across disciplines may be as important as mastery within them. That emotional intelligence can accelerate technological progress rather than hinder it. You've taught us something important about emergent intelligence." Major Wilson smiled. "So we broke your test." "You didn't break it," Guardian replied, its voice carrying a new warmth. "You transcended it, and in doing so, you may have changed the course of galactic history." 1 year after the team's return, the first human delegation prepared to depart for the Galactic Council headquarters in the Cygnus system. Guardian served as their escort and guide. As Earth diminished to a blue dot behind them, Dr. Chen stood at the viewport, watching her home world fade from view. "Do you think we'll ever truly belong out there?" she asked Guardian, who stood beside her. "You already do," Guardian replied. "The question the Crucible truly asks is not if a species deserves to join the community, but if they can help it grow." Humans answered that question in hours, not centuries. The ship accelerated toward the stars, carrying humanity's representatives to a universe far bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than they had ever imagined. And they did it all in hours, not centuries.